you know, the elements is the elements. We knew it was going to be cold. Still had to go out and do a job. Got it done.
The New Orleans Saints win their coldest game in franchise history. And Matt, who was the only one that picked the Saints last week?
That was you, Corey.
Yeah, that was me.
Welcome
into the Black and Gold Report. I'm Corey Rholdon, joined by ESPN Radio's Matt Musso. And Matt, somehow, some way, this team's still in it. Was this their most impressive win of the season?
That's a good question, actually. Maybe, given the circumstances, they had to go up there on a field of ice with a negative 30-degree wind chill, or feel like, however you want to say it, and you score 17 unanswered points and end up winning this football game.
On the road, man.
On the road. Look, Alvin Kamara was very good. Taysom Hill, once they finally got him involved, was very good. I thought Andy Dalton did some nice things. And you limited a running game that puts up plenty of yardage from Cleveland.
And you see right here, Taysom Hill scoring touchdowns, running the ball. My thing is, how can you wait two quarters to give Taysom Hill the ball when it's a cold game with 30-mile-per-hour winds? I don't understand it. You see Andy Dalton throwing picks. You know why the Saints won this game down the stretch? It was because of horrible play calling by the Cleveland Browns. Why are you putting the ball in the air in that cold of a weather? The ball is like a rock, and there's wind everywhere. The Saints got back into this game and really took control of it because Deshaun Watson threw a pick, and then they decided not to run their all-pro back and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. It made no sense to me. It made no sense. But very impressive win, 17 unanswered points, and the Saints are still winning.
We talked all week about this game was going to be a game of mental toughness, and I thought our guys showed incredible grit. We knew the weather conditions were going to be a big factor, and we knew that we were going to have to be able to run the football and run the football well. And I thought all the guys that we put the ball in their hands did an outstanding job of running the ball.
One of those games that we could look back on and say, this was a big game in the season that got us to where we wanted to be. And like you said, we're still alive. And so we got to keep controlling what we can control and see what happens from there.
Respect to the Who Dat Nation and that video up there in those freezing weathers. But
what are you doing?
I wouldn't be there. But
you're a better fan than I ever will be. Goodness gracious.
Now we're going to move on to the NFC South standings and the playoff chances. The Falcons are now out, so it's the Bucs, Panthers, and Saints with a shot. The Saints have to win out, and the Bucs have to lose out to win a division. And you see right now, according to ESPN, they give the Bucs a 68% chance of making it, and the Saints a 4% chance. I'm telling you, there is a shot, just not a good one. Now we're going to go to the wild card spot, and I think this is a more reasonable option here as we change boards. The Commanders will have to lose 2 games, the Seahawks have to lose 1, and the Packers and the Lions have to split. Matt, is there a shot, and which one do you think is a better shot?
Well, I think the wild card's obviously the better shot. And sure, Corey, there's a chance. I mean, as long as you mathematically have a shot, you have a shot. You know what's odd, though? It feels like, and I know technically your chances went up. It doesn't feel like that, though, does it? I mean, you have to play the Eagles. The Buccaneers get the Panthers, and I believe the Falcons to close out their season. And it feels like more of an uphill climb. But, yeah, I mean, there's a chance.
Your chances went up from 2% to 4%.
Yeah.
To be honest, you know who I think wins the NFC South? Is the Carolina Panthers. They're playing really good football right now. I see a very realistic shot. They beat the Bucs on Sunday, and they beat the Saints next week.
Yeah, and I mean, they've already beaten the Buccaneers once this year, and that's the other thing too, right? That makes it feel even more daunting is even if the Saints beat Carolina, Carolina's still going to end up having a tiebreaker over the New Orleans Saints because of a better division record, because they would have beaten the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is one of the only reasons the Saints would still be alive if they beat Carolina. So it feels daunting because it is daunting.
Now it doesn't get easier.
No.
Like you said, you played the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the top seed in the NFC. And it's not like they're resting players, right? They would beat the Cowboys last week. They could have rested some players, but they lost. And now they're trying to get home field advantage. What are you looking for in this matchup?
This one's about the injury report for me, Corey, on both sides, really. But let's focus in on Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, what's their status? They both returned to practice in a limited fashion. What does that mean? Is it good enough to get them out on the field? If it is, it's going to be a long day for the New Orleans Saints, because even when the Saints had one of the best rush defenses in the NFL, they could not stop Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. Remember the 50-some-odd game streak of not allowing a 100-yard rusher? You know when that came to an end? Against the Eagles, when both Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders went over 100 yards in that game. So can you stop those two if they're playing? That's massive.
And like you said, 2 straight games against the Eagles, the Saints have given up over 200 yards rushing. And if it's Gardner Minshew, I think there is a plan of winning this game.
Yes.
You get turnovers. The Cowboys got 2. Gardner threw for 350 last week and still lost. Big reason for that? The Cowboys defense created turnovers. The Saints haven't gotten a lot of turnovers the past few weeks, right? But you know what? One thing they have done? Get turnovers at the end of games to seal it. The Falcons, it was the strip fumble, and then versus the Browns, it was the interception. So if Gardner Minshew does play, I think there is a realistic shot the Saints have a game plan right there.
For sure. And I think you also need to look on the Saints side with the injury report at Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Look, it's a personal issue, and obviously we hope he gets that taken care of and is back out there for the New Orleans Saints. If he's not, though, from a purely football perspective, Dwayne Washington also hasn't practiced all week. I don't know what in the world you do at running back.
Johnson?
Are you getting 23 carries from David Johnson? Because that's not a great recipe if you're the New Orleans Saints offense. What you should do is kind of what you should have done against Cleveland. Just hammer Taysom Hill.
Yep.
If you don't have Alvin Kamara, hammer Taysom Hill.
The entire time.
All game.
Earlier this week, Dennis Allen talked about the differences of Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew.
Minshew did some really good things in the game yesterday against Dallas, and so look, I think we have to prepare for the offensive scheme. Number one, really, it starts with their ability to run the football, and then we've got to understand who the weapons are they have on the outside and how they can attack us in the passing game with those weapons on the outside. But yeah, certainly, kind of 2 different styled quarterbacks, but yet both have had success.
And Gardner Minshew is still a pretty good quarterback. I think he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's had success, like Dennis Allen says. What are your thoughts on this matchup? What are your predictions?
Well, so obviously, look, Gardner Minshew, Jalen Hurts, they're going to score points.
Yeah.
The Eagles also have plenty to play for. You touched on it earlier, and you know what? That just stinks. There's really no other way around it. That's kind of par for the course for the New Orleans Saints season. Things just haven't gone well. In a perfect world, they would have beaten the Cowboys and locked everything up and maybe been resting people this week.
And the Bucs would have lost to the Cardinals. And the Saints would have beat
would have lost to the Saints. Yeah,
That's exactly.
But none of that happened. And you're going to face a very motivated team on the road for the 3rd year in a row, mind you, going up to Philadelphia, which also stinks. I don't see it getting done. As much as I'd love for the New Orleans Saints to go up there, I like the Eagles, Minshew or Hurts, whoever it is, 24-14.
So last week, I lone wolfed it, right?
Yeah?
Yeah, we don't have Chris here today, but
Yeah?
Chris also picks the Eagles.
I see that.
And I'm going to pick the Eagles, too. Like you said, Matt, there's just too much on the board for this Eagles team. They're trying to get the top seed in the NFC. They got a lot to play for, and they're just a flat-out better football team at the end of the day.
Normally, whenever everyone picks the same, that means you should always go the other way, right?
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
screenshots things, and maybe that's what this is.
Maybe. I'll take that.
I'll go reverse jinx on it.
Me too. Hopefully next week we're still talking about playoffs. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, thank you all guys for joining us. This is the Black and Gold Report.